Okay, welcome designers. In this session we'll get into the drawing of a basic floor plan. We start with the settings that we built up in the previous session. We've got our layers on the right here and we've got our dimensions at the bottom. Here on the left I've got minimal floor drawing, a floor plan. We'll get into the basic shape of the part here on the left. We'll leave out the bathroom, etc. in order to make this video not too long. In order to get your main structure going on, we'll start with the grid lines. In the grid lines, we can use the dash dot lines as we made in our dimension in our layer structure. Now we get to the drawing and we see a couple of dimensions here, horizontally and vertically. For grid lines to work well, often make them more or less 1 meter longer on each side than the dimensions that you have. So this is 5500, so let's make that 5700. So we go to line, we click anywhere, we make it 7500 long. So that's the width. The height it's 6500, so 60, 75, 85 line 0. So you want to stick through of 1 meter. So let's move this 1 meter to the side and 1 meter down. So that's reference 1000, minus 1000. So we have a stick through of 1 meter. So the main dimension of the building is 6553. So what we're going to do now is use the offset command that is under curve tools and offset. Select the curve you want to offset. Type in the distance 6553. And we move it upwards in order to offset it upwards. So this is the main dimension line we need. The second one is the dimension line to the first one. That's 4267. So we do offset again. Now we type in 4267. We click on the line direction, and then we have these grid lines made. Now we go to the horizontal ones. The main dimension is 5486, so we do offset 5486. We do it to the right, and then we've got the line in between. It's 2 times 2743, so we do offset. We do 2743. Made a mistake. Offset 2743. Then press enter, and then we put it in the middle. So when we zoom in, we see that the dash dot lines are used in order to make the main structure for this element here. These grid lines we'll use in order to make our plans work. In order to not shift them around, we now go to the section lines. We activate it by clicking left on the light bulb. In the hatch lines, we click on lock. And why do we click on lock? Is that we cannot, the dash dot lines we click on lock, that we cannot move around the lines. We can also not activate it, but we can use it in order to snap to it. So that works well. So now we'll go into making the outline. So that we can do is go to section lines, go to polyline, and make sure you make the outlines that you want to introduce. When you're almost there and you want to close the line, you see here on the bottom you see close, so or press C or just click on close and it closes it up. Generally, the walls of buildings, the outer walls are thicker than the inner walls. In this drawing, we cannot see this, so I think all the walls in this case are about 100 thickness. Normally, what you can do is use for outer walls about 250 to 300 and inner walls around 100. But for simplicity, we'll use 100 here as well. We see that the lines of the structure are the lines of the outside of the building. Vertically, horizontally, it's not the case. So what we'll do, we'll use offset. We make a thickness of 100. Then we'll offset it outwards. Now let's offset it inwards, like this. So what we have now is that we have an offset inwards, that the main dimensions outside are the same as the main dimensions here. But what we see on the drawing here on the left is that the grid line is to the middle of the drawing, of the drawing of the wall. So in order to adjust it, we can activate our grid, our outlines of the section lines of our drawing. Then we see this dot slide up. Now we can activate these four on the right, and then use the move command here on the left. And we want to move these dots half the thickness of the wall in order to get the middle of the wall to the center of the grid lines. So we want to move it, for example, from the corner here, and we want to move it 50,0. So now we see that the grid line is on the middle of the outer wall. We do this again, we activate the two lines. Now we do it on the left. We see that now we have activated these four. Then we move again. We move it, for example, from here. Now reference minus 50,0. Let's do that again. Something went wrong. We click both lines. We activate the 4 points. Then we type move. We click anywhere. Then we type in reference minus 50,0. And then again, we see that the middle of our grid lines is to the middle of our wall. Now we have one separate wall we have to make in the middle here. And there is more or less a door here. So what we can do is use the support lines, make a line like this. We make an offset of, let's say the door is 1000. This is not dimensioned well. We can make an offset of 1000. Now we have a support line that we can use in order to make the wall that is in between. So we can go to section lines again. We go to rectangle. We draw the wall in between. And now these dimension lines can be deleted. All right, then at the bottom here, there's a door as well. So what we can do there is use the support lines again. And let's say the part here is about 300. So we do offset 300. And then the width of the door is, let's say, 1000 again. So notice for the door a bit much. Let's make it 80. So we do offset 800. And this is the width of the door. So you want to take these parts out in order to make the opening here. And for this we can use the command called trim. So we type in trim, or we use the command trim. I think that's in curve tools. Well, somewhere. You can look it up if you need it. This first thing is select the cutting object. So there's these two. And then objects to trim, and that's this one and this one. And now we can delete the two lines that we used, or the three lines that we used for the support. We click on section lines again, we type in line, and we can close the doors here. At the moment, this is a continuous line. This is a continuous line, but it is not connected to the lines here. So in order to do that, we activate all these lines, and this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then we click on the join command, and now again, everything is one continuous line. This one continuous line is important for the hatches. So now more or less we've got the outlines of our drawings in place. Now we add some hatches. And hatches are the fillings of your walls. So in order to make some hatches, we type in hatch. We type the curves that we want to hatch. At this one, we type in enter. Now it uses the solid hatch, but we can also use, for example, the hatch of a line. In this case, the line is horizontal, but we're going to have it diagonally. We can type in 45. It's diagonally, and we want to have a scale of about 50, for example. Let's see if that is enough. It's not enough, so let's make it 250. Is that good? 500. I think 500 works in our case. For this, just see what scale works. Type in something here and see if the scale works visually for you well. So we type in OK. Then we have the hatches introduced. For this line, we do the same. We click on the line. We type in hatch. And we can, for example, see -45, and the hatches go the other way. That makes it easier to distinguish one part to the other. So we can see this is one part of the wall, and this is another part of the wall. So this is moved to the right and this is moved to the left. Okay, then we go to text, and we go to the text command. This text we have to scale with the scale that we want to draw. I think in this case we go for 1:50. So when you want to have the height of the text of 3 millimeters in a scale of 150, we have to multiply it by 50. So 3 times 50 is 150. And the first thing you want to do is the kitchen. Okay. Then it wants to ask us where to put it. So this is the kitchen. Then the second part is the, don't know why it makes it hollow. I think when you put in solid surface, okay. No, solid, okay. Well, there's multiple ways to do this. This is the first for me that this is introduced. It's a bit annoying. Okay, I found out what the difficulty was. There's two ways of adding text. You've got the text object here on the left, and you've got the text in the dimension bar. That's where I was a bit confused. When you use the text in the dimension bar, it goes the right way. In this case, he uses the scale that we want to use. We have it still on 1:50. We have the text height, so it calculates for you the height it has to be in the drawing. And here's the text we want to introduce. In this case, it's, for example, kitchen. It has an all text in there, but we can double click on it. Control R, all. Then we type in kitchen. Then we move it in place. Then the second one is room. Okay, we put it in place here, and this is about as much as we need for this drawing. Then the final thing is the dimension lines. For the dimension lines, we take the dimension lines as used here, but generally I like to have the dimension lines at the bottom and here on the right. So let's do that. We go from the smaller dimension lines inwards to the bigger dimension line outwards. So we type in the layer of dimensions. We click on the first one here. Then we go to the grid line. We go to the first part, and then we pull it outside. So for this case, it seems that 1:50 is a little bit too large. So we are going to change that by going to the layers that we made, and we take 1:200 and press OK. So now when we introduce our lines, okay, I don't know what went wrong. Let's try it again. 1:50. Okay. Then we go to our dimension. Let's say we do our main walls. So this is the first one. This is the second one. Now we want to have it to the middle of the grid line here. No, it doesn't work. What we can do is just take the grid lines as a reference. So we take the grid line here, take the grid line here, and we take the grid line here. So in this case, we adjust our dimensions to the grid lines that we use. Vertically, we can do the same. So we have the grid lines here, the grid lines here, and the grid lines here. The main dimensions we keep to the outside. What you can do is have some sub-dimensions on the inside. So for example, when you want to add a sub-dimension for the door here, you can add it like that. For the door here, you can add it like that. So based on this, you can draw out your plans using this sequence of steps.